Okay, hello. My name is Andy Napier, and I have Gwen Wilcox, my aunt, with me. And I'm going to ask you some questions about your experience with Lyme's disease, because I know that
Okay.
that's your story. You know, you've had that for such a long time, and I'd really like to expand on that a bit. So I said your name, Gwen Wilcox, of course. So where and when were you born?
Paso Robles, California, 1966.
Perfect. Where since the initial incident when you caught Lyme's disease, where have you lived since then?
Well, since then, I've lived just 4 years in Tennessee, but for the most part, California.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And then where and when were you when you first caught Lyme's disease? What year was it?
The year 86 and Santa Cruz, California.
So, how did you first become infected with Lyme's disease? Do you remember that experience? Do you know anything about it? Or was it just something that happened under the radar?
Well, I can remember that I got very sick and didn't know why I was getting so sick, just so ill. And I made it through that quarter. I finished that quarter, got home, went to the doctors, tried to figure it out. And of course, they diagnosed it as mono. So for a while, they said, oh, it's because you have mono. Then they said, no, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. And then you have, I mean, just like all the things. And and they would just slap like a depressant on it, antidepressant on it to just take care of the pain or the whatever it was. It was always like kind of a pitiful band-aid and never getting to the bottom of the situation.
Mhm. How or when did the symptoms start appearing? Was it immediately after? Was it within a couple weeks? When did you start to notice the symptoms?
Okay, well, pretty much immediately. And the interesting thing is my roommate said, you have something on your heel. And I'm like, what? Because you don't look at the back of your heel.
Yeah.
And I had been, hiking in flip-flops because that's what you do when you're a dumb kid. And you're not like hiking up a mountain. It wasn't steep.
Sure,
We're
you
just,
were
you're going for
walking.
a walk,
Yeah.
flip-flops on.
Yeah.
And when I looked at me, some of you just it just kind of like fell off. I did not even recognize it as a tick. Nothing. Didn't think that's what I just thought something was stuck on my heel. Is that bizarre? I didn't put all this together until later,
Oh my
but
God.
I immediately got flu-like symptoms, fever. My glands were swollen, like I had tonsillitis. I mean, I just was like a pretty ill
Yeah.
person.
So you pretty much immediately realized, like, okay, this isn't just normal fatigue. Like, I'm ill. Like, I am sick.
Right. And I thought maybe it's just the flu. Stay in bed a couple of days,
Mhm.
you know. Oh my gosh, but it just did not go away. So it became something that I had to just really push through to get through my classes and get through that quarter of school to get home. And then sadly it just didn't get better, didn't go away. And I just thought, oh, this can't be my story
Yeah.
for the rest of my life. This can't be it. And I'm taking care of a child
Yeah.
who's sick. And I just,
Yeah.
it was a very difficult struggle.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think anyone would would disagree with that. Oh my goodness. Raising a kid and being like terminally ill with Lyme disease. Oh
Well,
my goodness.
hopefully not terminally, yes, but
Oh,
weirdly chronically. Yeah, yeah. I'm still
ah,
here.
I didn't mean that.
I know. No,
Goodness.
but no, I think if it got to that point, they would have hospitalized me and they
Yeah,
would have
they would
said, we got to
probably,
dig.
yeah.
But because the weird, devious thing about Lyme is that it so masquerades as so many things
Hmm.
that it's easy for the doctors to misdiagnose it and then dismiss it.
Hmm.
And this has been the problem all along. It's a spirochete that mimics, and it goes wherever it wants. It can drill into bone, it can drill into cartilage, it can drill into organs, and it hides. It hunkers down. It's like, oh, you're going to give me antibiotic? Okay, we're going to go into dormancy mode. And so it hunkers down and it creates a biofilm, which is just like a layer of film. I'm not a scientist, but that just like a cocoon thing, and it protects this little evil spirochete bacteria until the battle is over. Then it comes back in full rage, like, what can I devour?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
What I read about the start of Lyme disease said that it began on the East Coast with just a whole bunch of kids, and they had no idea what was wrong with them. And this was in the 70s. Moms started like taking notes, like pulling out the scientific method to try and figure out what was wrong with their children. And I mean, you got Lyme in the late 80s, and this happened in the 70s, right? So not that much time.
Right.
And then here, according to the Bay Area Lyme Foundation, they say, quote, in 2012, Lyme was included as one of the top 10 notifiable diseases by the CDC. So
2012. Yes.
2012.
Yes, doctors said, no, Lyme doesn't happen over here. And I'm like, well, okay, then you're the doctor. You should know.
Mhm.
Well, I've since
Wow.
learned.
Yeah.
Just
So
because they're the doctor.
yeah, I mean, so much time in between the initial incident and then when it was fully recognized as a serious problem. So, I mean, how many times did you go through the process of misdiagnosis? Because that's a 2+ decades, That's, I mean,
Oh, it was
insane.
an endless thing. And what it came down to for me is I had to lean so hard on my faith.
Mhm.
And I just, through prayer and through digging research, I was just inching forward to a
Mhm.
solution. But because I kept getting different answers, I had no clue.
Yeah.
And I had really surrendered it. I had given up until Caitlin called me one day from college, and she said, Mom, I can't keep going. This symptom, this symptom, this symptom. She just listed it off. It was me. She was telling my physical story that I was at the moment feeling. But you're a mom. You don't sit and tell your kid. You're like, yeah, me too. But really, literally, me too. And I just thought, this is something. I can't keep dismissing this.
Mhm.
And so basically, because of your aunt, is Carly your aunt? Why am I
Carly,
confused?
no, you can, I mean,
No, she's not your aunt.
she's
But
not my
because of
aunt.
Carly and
Yeah.
Ashlyn, and
Yes.
because of their
Relatives, perhaps, per se.
let's say relatives. But she had already done legwork that really did facilitate our recovery.
Hmm.
And we've been so grateful. But she connected us with a Lyme literate doctor, one who knows the appropriate tests to do that will get the correct results. And again, it was something too, doctors were hard to find because they would have their license removed if they claimed that you had chronic Lyme. Lyme had been given parameters like, this
Mhm.
is the box. Lyme disease lasts 2 to 4 weeks for antibiotic, and then you don't have Lyme anymore. So
Mhm.
that allowed the insurance companies to no longer be responsible. It's
Oh,
called selective insurance. It's what it's called. And so it was hard to find a doctor that would treat you and insurance. Luckily, God provided both. And I know that was the answer to all those prayers that I had just like, I have no clue what's going on.
yeah.
So through that connection, we began treatment. I don't completely agree with all the treatments that we did, but it got the ball started, got the ball rolling. She had Lyme as well. They said, you clearly have the markers for it. But then he looked at me and he goes, you have Lyme, you've had Lyme, you have like chronic Lyme. And I was like, well, at least I know. I'm done.
Yeah. You have an
It's
answer.
not what I wanted to hear, but at least you move forward from that. It's
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. Absolutely. So would you say that that information that you received from Ashley and, Carly, would you say that that was a clear turning point in your recovery, in your journey? Was that a light at the end of the tunnel in any way? Just getting an answer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, because it pointed us in a correct direction. It gave us a means,
Yeah.
at least to an end. And it wasn't the end all for us, but we did go to that doctor and we did treatments once a month for a year.
Mhm.
And then when we got to a certain point, Kate was really pretty good. She was like, I feel like I'm good to go. I did not.
Mhm.
But so we stopped the treatments in Thousand Oaks. And I continued to pray. And I just said, I'm not well. I don't feel well. And so God led me to Sherry Bergamo, who figured out, well, this, and we treated that. Then she said, I have a friend. This is bizarre. He's an electrician, but his child was very sick. And he researched and he remade, didn't create it, the Rife machine. And so he
Mhm.
had Rife machines and all these kind of treatments, the PEMF mat, the pulse electromagnetic frequency mat, the
Yes. Yeah.
detox. We did the hyperbaric chambers, the oxygen
Mhm.
treatments. Um, I mean, those kind of things, you name it, he had it.
Yeah.
And it was just his electrical business. He had a little side building. God dropped me in there, and
Yeah.
I went and I did those treatments once a week for over a year
Mhm.
for free. He never charged us. He did it for people who were in the ministry, and it was his ministry. And I
Wow.
mean, God provided. And then he said, I know of a doctor that I really feel like you should go to. So it's a Christian lady. So I went to this, she's holistic kinesiology. And so I went to her. And so now I have this trifecta, right? That God has given me of
Yeah.
people to help me. They know what I have. So we're trying to dial it in. Well, this doctor, Doc Hansen, she tested me. She says, yeah, you have Lyme disease. So we began supplements. So instead of attacking everything that's good in your body, we
Yeah.
started building up everything
Boosting.
that's
Yeah. Of
good.
course. Of course.
It's the reverse of Western medicine. And I know there's a time and a place for Western medicine, but it wasn't
Right.
for me anymore. I did the
Right.
antibiotic for a year and my hair fell out. It was like chemo. It was horrific.
Yeah.
Don't do it, because there are lasting effects from going on an antibiotic for a year.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, we began the supplements, and I think it was a couple of months. I can't really remember. And she goes, okay, I'm gonna test you again. And I had been diligent with all these supplements,
Mhm.
diligent. And she tests me and she said, you don't have Lyme anymore. I thought I was just, I thought I was in shock. And I said,
Yeah.
Do it again, do it again. Because I didn't believe her. And she did. She goes, you don't have Lyme. So after that, and then, I start crying.
Yeah.
But after that, it just became managing it, being aware, because again, with Lyme is it doesn't show up. It does show up. It's here. It's not,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's unpredictable and quite devious. I call it the devil's disease. It hides
Mhm.
and it deceives you as to what it is. And it was created for evil purposes, and it's being used now on God's people, or on people, for
Mhm.
evil purposes. And God knows, and there will be a day of reckoning. And I'm just glad that light is coming to this
Mhm.
subject, to this disease, and it's no longer you can't it's no longer able to be just dismissed
Mhm.
like it used to be.
Yeah.
But luckily I'm not still suffering. I mean, I had to go through a lot of stuff where I had oral surgery, and
Yeah.
so that meant nut chewing for a year on one side and 6 months on another. So I had to learn how to eat differently, completely differently and healthy, just all of that, and detoxing.
Mhm.
Detoxing was a game changer. If you are doing these treatments once a week, then you're going to have tons of disease die off,
Mhm.
and your body, you will have awful symptoms because your body cannot process all of this out. So
Mhm.
you have to have a detox protocol in
Yeah.
place. Otherwise, you're going to be worse.
Yeah, to rid of it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well that actually goes in really well to the next question because I'm wondering how your body handled this incredibly extensive recovery process. Physically, emotionally, I mean, mentally, all of it. Like what was it like? Because I mean, you were going to work, you were leading worship at church, like you were a worship leader. I mean, standing like for hours and being responsible for, leading these people in the act of worship while you're feeling so just like drained from fighting a disease like that. What was that like?
Okay. So, I'm trying not to cry.
No, I'm
It was all of those things.
yeah.
Mine manifested greatly as depression. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's because it went in my brain. I don't know, but for me, it was a very dark disease. It had a hold on me. It was a dark hold that I had to really fight through. So there
Yeah.
was depression that was very prominent that I had to girl up through. Um, Physical pain,
Mhm.
my joints, um, achy. I would get tired quickly. I can remember one of the hardest things about leading worship was, as standing at a keyboard, I put all my weight on my back left heel,
Mhm.
which is bizarre, but that's what you're doing.
For
You're
your
like, your right
pedal.
foot's on the
Yeah.
pedal,
Yeah.
and your weight is all on that heel. And oh man, my heel just felt like a nail was being driven through it. So bad. So, there was that. But I can also remember being backstage and praying, and the team's off doing what they're doing, and I'm waiting for the cue to lead the team on. And you remember how on the Olive Knolls there was like the curtains, how they were like in slats kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
and so it would make kind of a shadow across for each one.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I know this is a weird story, but
Okay.
it happened more than once, where I'd be standing back there and I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I can do this. I can't do this. I
Mhm.
don't know how I can do this. And I would, kind of try circling the drain, like, how am I supposed to have the strength to lead worship? And it would be time. And so I'm like, okay, God, it's all you. And I would walk. And the minute I stepped over that line on
Mhm.
the stage, that shadow line,
Mhm.
the pain would be gone. I felt like I had an angel on both sides of me lifting me up, like I was bouncing the heck all over the place. I just knew it was God.
Mhm.
There was no doubt in my mind that
Mhm.
I was standing in his strength. It was not my own. But
Mhm.
it also confirmed that I was doing what he wanted me to do, because when he asked me to step back into that role, I asked him 3 times. Like the good Christian that I am, I'm like, oh, please tell me one more time. Are you sure you want me to do this? And he said, say yes 3 times. And so I'm like, Lord, I trust you. Man, you have me here. I need you to finish this and help me get this job done. And he did. And he did. So, yes, there were moments of pain. There were moments of hard emotion. There were moments of such weakness that I would have to have Danny help carry me to the bathroom.
Mhm.
And talk about humbling.
Yeah.
That got my pride, boy. And I think all of it really got my pride. I had strong sisters, and I was not the strong one. And I'm like, man, they could just go. They could go. I mean, Aunt Gail, I swear. I'm like, and then there's Becky too.
Well, that's a very
Robin.
different type of strength than what you have
Well,
in you.
well, thank you. Thank you.
I
And
mean,
I saw in them what I really needed in me to get through my day. And it it demanded that I leaned on God. There
mhm.
was no other way. That kind of strength was not going to come to me. It was not in my cards.
Mhm.
God said no. And he said it for my whole life, because why would I have gone through the pseudo
Mhm.
obstruction motility disorder till I was 15, almost bled to death? I
Mhm.
mean, he's just like, no, lean on me. You have zero strength. I'm taking your strength. Lean on me.
Mhm.
And so I did. There was no other ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, that was like, you want to get through it, let me be your strength. And so I don't know, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. But I mean, I don't want you to shortchange yourself. Everything that you've gone through has been unbelievably demanding and difficult. And just the strength that you had to get out of bed at 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Girl, get
Yeah.
out of, what do you mean? Looking over at your okay, just because Gail can go do a cycling class, I mean, get out of town, Gwen.
No,
Goodness gracious.
I know. They're not
Jeez.
normal. They're not normal sisters. But, and at the time, I think it was hard for me too, because I was running 3 miles a day. I was doing floor work for 45 minutes. I was just feeling good and looking good in my jeans. And then it really all hit with the treatment. It just flattened me.
Yeah.
And I just got so broken over being unable to, like, just carrying groceries to the car. I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God. I'm just praying. I'm begging him, help me get to the trunk, help me get to the trunk. It was stupid, but that was like, I was so weak. I
Mhm.
couldn't do normal things.
Mhm.
And it's not like, I mean, Danny was working all the time.
Yeah.
And, we were all getting by. And the
Yeah.
kids, of course, they helped a lot. And they understood on those mornings where I was just like in a coma
Mhm.
on Monday morning, and they're getting ready for school, and Chris would help Kate get ready. And I
Mm.
felt like the worst mom ever. The worst mom. And so I've had to deal with a lot of guilt over that. In number one, I was always like sad because I was dealing with depression,
Yeah.
physical,
Yes.
and then I couldn't always keep up and do what I felt like a mom should be doing. I'm like, Chris, help me with the laundry, or whatever it was. And they totally did it. And they're like the best kids ever in life. But I wish I could go back being healthy and be a mom again. I want to be a healthy mom. I
Mhm.
feel like that was taken from me. And it makes me weep when I think about it. Like I can't handle that, because God says, I will restore what the locusts have taken. And
Mhm.
he will, however, whenever. And and he allowed them to grow up healthy. I feel like, despite their mother, they grew up, well, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, especially
and
with
I'm sure,
Kate. I mean, look at her now, of course, like, of course. Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So it's all good, and it's all seasonal. Like, there's a season for this, and like, oh, I'm healthy. And then you're like, nope, there's another season. I'm like, oh, okay. I Here we go again. And it's just, and then you think, okay, it's good. I'm doing a lot better. And then weird other things happen where you're like, ooh, this is not good. And it's a constant, like Danny twice within a year and a half, his job, I mean, due to the oil industry, two
Mhm.
times in your 50s. How do you start over twice in your 50s? And then me, my job, because they said, no worship pastor should be older than 50. Well, it was far away. You couldn't tell I was, but it was my job and it was my love.
Yeah, I
And so
know.
we started over. So it's seasonal. Things are seasonal, and you just trust that he will equip you
Mhm.
with what you need for the day,
Yeah.
with your strength for the day, your grace for the day, your joy for the day.
Well, to get us back on track a little bit.
Sorry. Sorry.
Um, I have a question. You said you wish you could go back and experience being a mom again, being healthy. Well, now that you're out of Lyme and you're still continuing, your supplements and staying healthy, do you feel like getting to be a grandmother at, I mean, certainly not, like such a young age, but like, comparatively to like my mom or something, getting to have
She's so old.
grandchildren,
Don't ever listen to this interview. I just got egg.
But getting to take care of grandchildren and getting to be a grandma
Yes.
to such young, beautiful kids and sweet kids.
Yes. Yes. All of that has been, that's where he has restored my joy for sure. And running with them, playing with them, rolling on the floor. I mean, fishing, whatever, all of it.
All of
All
it.
of
Everything.
all of it. Playing in the ocean. Just all the good stuff. It's just been, it's been a gift. It's been a gift. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're so much fun.
They are fun.
Okay. So just a couple more things. I have some quotes here from the CDC. So this is regarding something called post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. The CDC says, quote, although most cases can be cured with a 2 to 4 week course of oral antibiotics, patients can experience symptoms of pain, fatigue, and difficulty thinking that last for more than 6 months after their treatment, end quote. So that's them receiving treatment immediately after they realize they have it, and it still lasts for 6 months. How would you compare your untreated Lyme in the beginning when you thought you had mono, in that 6-month time period of when a normal person would have gotten like treatment? How would you compare your symptoms to these symptoms of post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome?
They don't end. They get better. They almost disappear. But I have severe pain and arthritis in my hands. I have moments where, and not so often, it's been a while now, where I'd be driving and I literally have no idea where I'm going. And I just have to keep going straight. And I just pray. I'm like, Lord, oh my gosh, Lord, where am I going? What? Oh, it's the worst, weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I've had moments where I think a word, and then when I say it, it comes out backwards. I think a lot of my symptoms were neurological. And also joints, but I don't know. I experienced a lot of brain fog, a lot of that kind of thing. So I do, and short-term memory loss, like, oh goodness, talk about pride. Like, I am sorry, can you tell me your name again? And I know that's a normal thing, but no, it's significant, and it's short-term. Ask me to sing, the theme song to the Brady Bunch, and I can do that. I mean, it's just absurd. It's a short-term memory part of the brain that is like, no, we're not going to do that for you anymore.
That's so crazy that it affects
You would try to teach me things on the guitar, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And I'm like, no, sorry, I don't have it.
I remember that. That's so crazy that it would affect you in such, like you said, a neurological way. That's
neurological. So I just,
it's so
you just adapt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How disappointing. You just have to adapt to something that you can't get an answer for.
I don't know. There is no answer except that God gives you humbling things in your life, and that has been a humbling thing for me. Just, I'm like, I am used to being able to say something and it come out correctly, or tell my hand I'm going to do this, but my hand just won't do it. So it's jarring a bit, but everyone has their thing. I feel like in life, whether we see it or not, everyone has their thing. That's my thing, I guess.
My goodness, bless your heart for that being what you would consider your thing. My goodness. Oh my Lanta. Well, okay. One last question for us before we wrap things up. Looking back on this intense and incredibly difficult health journey, what would you say you have learned about yourself and about your strength or your faith, or, your support system, your family? What would your takeaways be from being able to see this in big picture now?
Boy, that's a tough question. I don't, maybe the short answer is that I've learned the true definition of being God's girl.
Mm.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. I mean, it's and so much more, but really that's what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Because no matter what we're facing, we can't do it on our own strength, nor should we be trying. He
Mhm.
wants to carry us and carry whatever we're going through. So, so he's saying, how much are you going to lean in? How much are you going to trust? You're going to trust all of it or just a little?
Mhm.
You're going to watch me do great things or not trust me to do small things. And
Mhm.
so and I say this, of course there are days where I have to circle back to that truth when we're human.
Mhm.
um but just that foundation of faith
Mhm.
that it doesn't matter whatever happens, financial, physical, emotional, spiritual, whether you lose everything. When we moved,
Mhm.
my health shifted. So it was like health, my church, my career, my family, my friends. I mean, it was just gone. And it just doesn't matter what it is. He says, I'm here.
Mhm.
Are you with me? I'm here and I
Mhm.
got you and you're my girl. And so it's just the reminder, I guess, to daily show myself grace and ask for strength
Mhm.
because I can't do it on my own.
Absolutely. Well, my goodness, what a story. I mean, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with me and as in depth as you did.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I really appreciated it. And once again,
Okay.
my guest, Gwen Wilcox, my auntie. Love you so much. Thank you.
Love
And
you.
thank you for this interview.
Okay, babe. Talk to you soon.